Corpus Network, for those who are new here. I am Amizan Azim Ramli from International Islamic University Malaysia, representing the MCRN Steering Committee, and I will be the moderator for this particular webinar. So before we start, let me read out our housekeeping notes. So number one, please ensure your mic is muted while the speakers are presenting. You may post your question in the chat or wait until the speaker finish to ask verbally. The link for the certificates of attendance will be provided towards the end of each presentation. The recording of this webinar will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Slides will not be shared until the speakers allows it. Now, on to our main agenda of the webinar. Alhamdulillah, today we have with us two speakers who will be sharing about their work relating to the corpus analysis, applied linguistics, and corpus linguistics. The first speaker is Dr. Habibah Ismail. I will read an introduction about Dr. Habibah first. So Dr. Habibah Ismail is a lecturer at the Faculty of Major Languages Studies from the University Science Islam Malaysia. She has a bachelor's degree in teaching of English as a second language, a master's degree in English language studies, and a doctoral degree in linguistics from the University of Sydney. Her research into media text combines corpus linguistics with other methodologies, including discourse analysis and multimodal analysis, to explore the language of news and the new media platforms, namely social media. So, like myself, I'm also excited to what Dr. Habibah and Dr. Haliza will be share later. Ladies and gentlemen, so please welcome Dr. Habibah Ismail, whose presentation title is Malaysian Digital Activism, a corpus-assisted discourse analysis of TikTok videos promoting #BDS. The floor is all yours, Doctor.
Thank you, Amizan. And hello, everyone. It has been a while. The last time I've seen Amizan was back during the seminar, right, Amizan?
Yes,
Nice to
I
see.
am in UIA now.
Alhamdulillah, I heard.
Right?
Alhamdulillah. And it's great to see familiar faces again after a while. Dr. Rose, Dr. Anis, and Dr. Afida, among others. Today I'm happy to be back at MCRN's webinar, and I'm going to share my screen so that I can start right away. People want to hear about the work, inshallah. I hope I can deliver. Bismillah. Okay, sharing the screen right now. Okay, thank you, Amizan, again for the introduction. I'm sharing my screen. If you can't see it or if it's lagging, just let me know. And just cut me off and let me know.
The screen is visible, Doctor.
Alhamdulillah. So you can see our beautiful campus, University Science Islam Malaysia, on my cover page. So that's USIM, or University Science Islam Malaysia. The most popular question I get whenever I give a talk is that, where is USIM? For those who don't know where USIM is located, it's in Nilai Negeri Sembilan, right next to Kajang. We are neighbors with Kajang. I'm proud of the campus. So that's the overview of our campus over there. Now about the talk. I'm going to share a bit about a study I did with my co-researcher. While the title of this talk that I'm going to share is Malaysian Digital Activism, a corpus-assisted discourse analysis of TikTok videos promoting BDS. I'm going to share a bit about BDS for those of you who don't know, but I think many of you know about BDS. Now, the content of this talk is actually based on a recently published paper by myself and Dr. Nur Shafawati Ahmad Sani. So today, actually, I'm presenting on behalf of the two of us. Okay, so this is the paper. The full paper and its title is different from the title of the talk. And if you want to read the full version, it's freely available for download from the 3L Journal website. Yeah. Okay. So a bit of introduction perhaps. Now the objective of the study we carried out is to investigate the linguistic resources or linguistic strategies employed by Malaysian influences who promoted the division and sanction movement, or BDS for short. So in our study, we identify these influences as digital activists. Yeah. So our examination focuses on their persuasive tactics or strategies to mobilize the public for this cause. So we decided to look at one, the attitudinal stance. So that's the first objective of the study, the attitudinal stance used by these activists. Number two, the social motivation and function of code switching. Now this is, I wouldn't say rare, but it's not very common for people to look at code switching and persuasive strategies. So we're going to talk a bit about that. And finally, we're going to explore other salient linguistic strategies that are used by these activists in general. Okay. So I'm going to skip the part about the literature review, about what other people have done. So those in part of the study you can read from our people. But I'm going to highlight here the concept behind the paper, the core concept. We look at mobilization, at digital activism, and of course the historical background of BDS movement. So mobilization discourse, in our study, we refer to the discourse used by activists, especially the language they use to influence their followers to participate in the cause they're advocating for. So that's our definition. You can compare our definition to that by Cambridge 2025. So Cambridge said that it's an act of organizing or preparing something, just that. But we have narrowed it down further to the language they use. Yeah. And then we have digital activism. So digital activism is basically people who are into activism, but they use the digital platform to spread awareness or build this mobilizing the public basically to support their cause. And finally, the boycott, sanction, and division. So the BDS movement basically aims, it's an activist movement, it aims to isolate Israel politically and economically, similar to how international boycotts and sanction contributed to the downfall of apartheid. Okay. Next. Looking back at persuasion, this one we've talked about mobilization, we talked about digital activism, we've talked about BDS movement, and a bit of history about BDS. But one of the core of this study is persuasion techniques. From the handbook of persuasive strategies, we can read a lot of methodology being used to examine persuasion. One of the most popular one would be the appraisal framework, attitudinal stance by Martin and White. The appraisal framework from systemic functional linguistics is very, very popular, as well as the attitudinal stance. And there's Aristotle, pathos, logos, and ethos. So people usually use those strategies to examine persuasion. So personally, I believe that code switching is rarely used to examine persuasion. However, we decide to use it, the code switching, to look at code switching as a tool for persuasion, because we consider the context of the study, especially looking at the social motivation for code switching. The examination on it might inform us better on in what way, how code switch can be a tool for persuasion, and how they can create this subtle, credible narrative to persuade audience. So if you remember, if those who are following the Palestinian genocide and Israel war on them, people are saying 2 years into the genocide, people are saying that Israel is falling behind on the narrative. So the narrative build up is different now. People are more empathetic towards Gaza and Palestine as a country. So something changed there. What happened? Yeah, before that, it was, of course, people are aware of that, but the forces are becoming more. The activism especially is becoming more prominent in the recent years, especially with the GSF, Global Summit Flotilla movement, happening just a few months ago. Now, very quickly, with regards to code switching, I'm just going to point out to two past studies by Fouquet. The first one, who examined contemporary youth activists and their language on social media. So she found out that code switching is used to converge the national audience. So the national honors in the country when the person is using national language, and a strategic move to converge with the global audience when the person is using the English language. So similarly, Ali in 2024 analyzed four Pakistani transgender activists and revealed that the language their practices involve innovative linguistic and textual strategy. For the digital platform, that is considered as innovative strategies, one of the strategies considered as code switching. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to look at data and methodology. Now, for those of you who have done a study related to influences, you will find that it's really hard to decide on the parameters, what to decide when you want to take this video or want to take this part of the videos from this influencer or that influencer. So from Anchor and Bosher 2019, they say that influencer is defined as someone who creates inspiring content that can build a following and become an influencer. That's the basic definition of what an influencer is. Yeah. However, after we done our research, we come to know that there's no fixed number of follow or likes that a person must get before being identified as an influencer. As such, for practical purposes, for our study to be carried out, we decided on this parameter. So we identified that the data, the TikTok video that we choose must be TikTok video produced by a Malaysian. Number two, the video must be liked by 500 number of user. So that's the definition of we consider that person as an influencer when the video has at least 5 number of likes on that video. And number three, the influencer must be talking about the product to be boycotted or about the BDS movement itself. Number four, the influencer should use either Malay, English, or mix of both languages, partly due to the limitation of language, the researcher's limitation, of course. Number five, the videos must be made after the event of October 7th, 2023. So many of you know what that date means, but I'm just going to explain here. This date marks the onset of the, people say Israel-Gaza war, but I think I have the tendency to call Gaza genocide that remains ongoing from 2023 to 2025. So this event, we argue, sparked yet another phase of BDS movement globally. Of course, there are phases before this, but this one is one of the things that sparked one of the most massive BDS movement. Okay, so that's why the cutoff date over there. Now, data collection process. So we selected 30 videos and downloaded them through a website called glitz.com. For anyone who has experience doing this, of course, we know Python, not Python. I learned about this from Amizan actually. We can use something, Python, I believe, they can extract it automatically from that software. Python, what's the name again, Amizan?
Python. We use Python as the programming language, and of course in Python we have various library, various tools that to transfer
you can
and
download and transfer.
scale down the data.
So unfortunately, we don't have Amizan as part of our team. He's busy. So this is what we do as what we call Rakyat Marhain. Someone who doesn't really know, we are not very well informed with Python. We would like to, but this website actually helped to download the video from TikTok. It works for us. So 30 videos from glitz.com website. So I'll promote this for those of you who want to do a small scale research. Glitz.com website would do the trick. And then there's this website called Descript. So Descript website is utilized to generate a transcript from every video downloaded. So why we chose this website? There are other options actually, because it generates the exact words coming out from the mouth of the influencer with minor error, especially with videos with mixed languages. So that's one of the reasons why we choose this script. And after that, of course, the data cleaning and editing process. So we proofread, we prepare the data for analysis in TXT format. That's it for data collection process. So this is the breakdown of the video. So we have chosen videos from 6 different influencers using pseudonyms. And these are the pseudonyms for each influencers to protect their identity. Now, if you notice, we have 30 videos we chose 5 or 6 from each one of those influencers, except for Yo-Yo down here, just one. But most we choose 5 or 6 videos. Yeah, the reason why we also found that most of the most popular videos, they are taken down. So we can't find those videos anymore because they are taken down, they are kind of suspended. So these are very rare material, I believe. Most of the good ones has been taken down. So these are what we got at the time of the research. So from these 30 videos from 6 influencers, the corpus or the data we got amounts to more than 10,000 running words. 10,000 running words, more than that. So it's a small specialized corpus that allows us to do just a bit of analysis using corpus linguistic tools, just a bit. But most of the time, many times we also use corpus tool for assisting the manual analysis. I'm gonna share a bit more about that. Okay, so for this particular study, we use three software. The first one is UAM Corpus tool, and the second one is Langsbox software. So myself, I use Langsbox software, both the Langsbox 6.0 version and also Langsbox X. So the switch between the two actually is for practicality reason. I think some of the images are really good in Langsbox X, but Langsbox 6 is more user friendly. That's just my opinion, of course. But both are just, I would say, a sibling to each other. So yeah, these are the two software that we use for the analysis, especially UAM Corpus tool. It allows or assists the semi-automatic identification process of instances of code switching and instances of attitudinal stance. So UAM Corpus tool for me is really good. I've been using it since my time doing doctorate degree until now. So I really recommend this for those who are mixing both quantitative and qualitative research. Next, we're gonna look at the analytical framework that underpin our study. Okay, actually, there's just three analytical framework. Yeah, one is CDA, the other is code switching, and the other one is attitudinal stance. So I would say the first main framework is Fairclough 3D model of critical discourse analysis. That's the biggest umbrella that foreshadows the other two. So basically everyone, I think most of the people who have done discourse analysis or have used it together with corpus linguistics, you're familiar with Fairclough 3D model. There are 3 level: text level analysis, discourse level analysis, and social analysis. So it's in the text level analysis that we examine or we use the other 2 framework, which is attitudinal stance and social motivation for code switching. So it's in that level. Okay, so this is the appraisal framework that we use from Martin and White. In particular, we use from the appraisal framework, there's attitude system in appraisal framework. So we're taking that for our study. The 3 primary category of attitude system, we have the affect, judgment, and appreciation. Affect is the emotional manifestation, judgment is behavioral assessment, and appreciation is assessment of events and object, so valuation of things. Now, this figure that you are looking at on my screen here is actually the screenshot. The screenshot from UAM Corpus tool with minor adaptation. So what I like about UAM Corpus tool is that it has a lot of existing system or existing framework in the software. So attitude system is one of it, and UAM Corpus 2 also allow us to change a bit the framework based on what we need. So we added things like the word this part on the praised, self and other. We add that one, and there's also the category of unclear and judgment type and displeasure in affect system. So we added things that kind of, I think, we consider outlier. We found it in our data, but not in that, were not there in the attitude framework system. So we added it. So I think that's why I like UM Corpus 2. It allows us freedom to change the framework and allows us to use existing framework. So the way we analyze it is according to this framework. So we will first identify the attitude, either it's a fact or judgment or appreciation, and then from there the type of fact, maybe dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction, we need to decide on the polarity, whether positive, negative, or ambiguous, and then after that we have to decide we have to decide whether it's an implicit or explicit form of negativity or positivity, and who is the appraiser. Is the writer influencer appraising it, or is it other people appraising it? And then who is being appraised? Is it the self is being appraised? Sometimes the influencer is evaluating themselves. That happened. And sometimes the influencer is evaluating herself and others. So we added the self and other section as well. Moving on. Okay. So this is the table that shows attitudinal system used for the analysis along with some examples. So a fact here, there are many subcategories. The example shown here is just for dissatisfaction, or along with judgment. This is the description of the system. So there's many subcategory. The example here is just about abnormality, and we have appreciation here. This is actually the only appreciation. I'm going to talk a bit about appreciation because appreciation we only found one instance of appreciation in our data. Yeah, one appreciation. Although we're still not talking about finding. I'm just trying to highlight it because we're not going to talk about appreciation anymore after this. So this one instance is shown here, example from data. So reaction, yeah. And they have in Malay, and dia orang punya stand tu sangatlah kuat walaupun itu adalah brand negara dia orang sendiri. This is Leila's appreciation of American behavior, of how they have a strong stance about boycotting stuff, even if the brand is from their own country. So that's the only appreciation found in our data. Moving on. Okay, so we've looked at Fairclough, we've looked at attitudinal system, and the last framework that we're using is the Myers-Scotton marketness model. Myers-Scotton code switching model of marketness model or marketness model. So according to Myers-Scotton code switching model, there are 4 types of code switching. There's marked choice, unmarked choice, sequential, unmarked choice, and exploratory code choice. Now, for our study, we focus solely on marked code choice. Why? Okay. I'm not going to talk about number 3 and 4. I'm just going to differentiate with unmarked code choice. So unmarked code choice is basically our everyday code switching. For example, if you go to in Malaysia, if you go to a mama restaurant, you will simply say ane roti canai satu. Or 1 glass of teh tarik, right? That's 3 code switching happening, 1 language being code switched in 1 sentence. So that's very normal for Malaysian to use, and that's not something that people will find it extraordinary. So there's no underlying intention except for asking for a tea or a roti canai. But for marked code choice, this is when people code switch. It's not influenced by a society particular custom, and it's highly probable that it has an underlying intention or motivation. And hence why we decided to go with marked code choice. And we have looked at other paper, and many papers actually look at marked code choice compared to the other 3. Okay, now we're going to move to the findings. Findings. Okay. So first we're going to look at the stance, attitudinal stance. This table here shows the findings. So we can see clearly that judgment at 78 instances and 73% is the most used attitudinal stance, followed by affect, emotion, yeah, and appreciation. Now, this table here shows the type of judgment that is most frequent in our data. The most prominent is propriety at 48%. This is assessment of ethical or moral standing. Ethical or moral standing. This is followed by capacity and normality at 19% and 19%. Both are 19%. So the most is propriety. So for propriety, the target of this judgment are companies or individuals that show support directly to companies or individual, yeah, that has direct or indirect ties with Israel. And sometimes their targets are Malaysian who are not eager to participate or who discourage others to participate in the boycott movement. Yeah. Next, we'll see the frequency of distribution of a fact. So this is a fact. When it comes to effect, remember, effect is emotion. Emotion. The activists express a lot of emotion in the dissatisfaction category, with many of them blatantly showing they are dissatisfied with company operate how some companies are operating in relation to their link to Israel. So dissatisfaction here, an example, I am shocked, I am outraged. So that's dissatisfaction. Yeah. The next highest number would be unhappy and disinclination. So they are distancing themselves in this inclination. For example, I used to quite like Zara, but right now the person is implying, no, I'm no longer liking it. I dislike it. Uh, okay, moving on. Now, next here, what you're looking at are the categories of social motivation for code switching identified. This is for the mark code choice. Actually, there are 10 categories. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Based on this table, the most frequent social motivation is to avoid algorithm detection. That's the highest with 51% and frequency of 47, followed by emphasis to emphasize a point, 20%. Yeah. The rest are typically less than 10%. So what's interesting here is the most frequent, which is avoid algorithm detection. Yeah. Actually, this one was contributed by one particular influencer. I would say it's a stylistic choice as well. So Dexter, yeah, from Dexter's videos, 46 were found, yeah, of this strategy, avoiding algorithm. We will be talking about this in our discussion of findings according to themes. So up to this point, it's very superficial. The finding is really superficial. It's numbers, it's the overview of distribution of code switching and attitudinal stance. Now we're going to move to making to the themes, discussion of themes which might be more interesting because we're making sense of things in context, inshallah. I'll try. Okay, in the next few slides, we're gonna discuss the finding according to two main themes. Theme number one, call to action, and theme number two, linguistics resilience. Yeah, to support our analysis in this section for the themes and discussion, we extracted evidence from the corpus using collocation analysis, concordance, and engrams. So remember, the distribution, the percentage, all are taken from UAM corpus tool analysis using a UAM corpus tool. So this time around, we're gonna combine it together with Langsburg, which has more complex level of analysis. Okay, so the first theme is the call to action theme. As the name suggests, we identify instances where activists use language to urge, to ask, to call their followers to perform specific action. Yeah? The most common call was to boycott product. For example, when activists say, Cetaphil ni pun antara produk yang kena boycott. Gitu. So in English, Cetaphil is one of the products that we have to boycott. While most of these calls were neutral in tone, yeah, sometimes people just ask, we have to boycott Cetaphil, but it's very neutral. That tone is very neutral. But sometimes it can come with negative nuances. Yeah, when it does that, when it has negative laden words to it with it, then judgment comes in. So the, negative judgment or attitudinal stance will be attached to that particular phrase or sentence. Now, from this table, the word in this one, the second one, Coca-Cola is one of the things you need to boycott aggressively. Or in Malay, it says Coca-Cola is one of the adalah satu benda yang you kena boycott gila-gila. Gila-gila in Malay has no English translation. We choose aggressively, but actually gila-gila goes beyond that. Huh? Okay. So despite this, many call to action related to the word boycott present in data. Not all are related. The word boycott, not all are related to call to action, but when they do, this call to action using the word boycott is used using active sentence. Active sentence. For example, Palestine themselves actually called for a Zara boycott. So that's active sentence. Yeah? So this is also evidence from our analysis of n-gram. Our n-gram analysis shows that one of the most frequent n-gram is need to boycott or kena boycott in Malay. Moving on. Okay. So this is just another concordance of the word boycott. Gonna skip this. Okay, this is the n-gram results of the corpus, and kena boycott is down there in the top 20 or 30. Yeah? But of course, our data set is really small. Future research can support and see whether this is the case indeed. Now, we're done with the word boycott. Of course, when we look at BDS movement, the first word which will be on top of the list is boycott. However, when we examine further, there's another word which pops up. It's the word support. Yeah. We found an expected narrative pattern for the word support. Out of the 34 instances of the word support, only one is talking about supporting local products. Yeah. But the rest are talking about they're implying potential people or companies to boycott. They are creating this tie between Israel and the company. So they're saying that this company support Israel, or that artist or that person support Israel. So this is shown in the table. We can have a read here. Now, except for line number 1 and 6, the rest of the concordance illustrate how influencers pointed the complex relationship of Israel with many influential people across financial, fashion, and cosmetic industry. Now, they're not asking people directly to boycott this company. Yeah? The technique is really, I would say, go around kind of strategy, yeah? Roundabout kind of strategy. So they're implying that this company should be boycotted. Yeah? So in this case, the word support, unlike the one that we use in our daily conversation, in our neutral context, the word support out there is really positive, right? But in our corpus, the word support is negatively laden. That's very unique in terms of the context. This is again just a further example from the corpus analysis that supports our argument that the word support is negatively laden in the BDS corpus. Moving on. Okay. Now, for the call to action theme, the social motivation of code switching was also discussed. We have a few in our paper, but I'm going to point out just one for this presentation. Now, we noticed that code switch was found to be used. The mark code switch was found to be used after the call to action was made. Especially to elaborate on the consequence of the boycott movement. Now, this was identified as a code switch move by a number of activists, not just one. So it's not a stylistic. It's rather something that is being used by them, either they notice it or not. So we notice a change from Malay to English was used to emphasize this consequence or objective of the boycott movement. Now, based on this table here, yeah, you can see here. I'm reading in Malay, but our international students or international colleagues can read from the English translation. Ya. Ni Arab League boycott waktu itu company PepsiCo. So dia delay pembukaan dia. So dia is PepsiCo company is being delayed. Nampak kesan boycott ni? It can prolong and even they can make those companies suffer. So the second one, that is why boycott bukan niat dia untuk destroy, but to amplify our voice. The change toward the end is English. So they might start with English, or they might start with Malay, but towards the end of the sentence, they change to English. why? So what's the social motivation? So we identify that the purpose might be one, to emphasize their point about the result of the boycott movement. Number two, they want to make the point, making the point stand out by using a different language. So they switch to a different language, people will, oh, this is something else. And number three, they want to increase credibility and persuasiveness by using a global language like English. Sometimes English can be seen as uh, using English can be seen as something that is quite how do I say this? Quite exclusive, quite looked highly by people. Basically, when you use English, sometimes people look highly on you. But yeah, so that's point number three. Now, the last point about how code switching to English increases credibility and persuasive power, yeah, was highlighted by Luna and Prasho in 2005. So other researchers in the past have found this. They study about advertisement and slogans. So they see a higher persuasive effect. They identify that when the slogan code switch from the local language or the minority language to the global language or the majority language. So that was found. So we are corroborating their findings. So saying that yes, switching to global language towards the end of when you're making a point increases their persuasive power. Okay. Okay, I think that's the main point here for this particular example. I've got another one, but I'm not going to share that. I'm going to move to theme number 2 right now. Okay. Now, linguistic resilience is the second theme. Actually, we see it a lot in this might compared to call to action. Linguistic resilience instances, I would say, are more in number, and we are more familiar with it. Many of you are scrolling Palestinian your social media related to Israeli and Palestinian issue, right? And so many of the things that I'm going to share here about linguistic resilience is related to that. I'm going to give another beyond some comments beyond the paper that we wrote related to the more recent events related to the GSF Global Smooth Flotilla. We can see more of those linguistic resilience happening during those time as well. So first, team number 2. So this, in this paper, we conceptualize linguistic resilience. So this is our definition of what linguistic resilience in the context of mobilization discourse is. So our definition is that linguistic resilience are instances of or manifestation of language users' their ability to allow language to operate effectively. The keyword here is effectively in highly challenging environment by adapting various linguistic strategies. So language operating highly effectively despite the challenges environment. So that's linguistic resilience. So their creativity, their innovation in the use of language is what we identify as linguistic resilience. Now, if you watch the social media on this issue, many of the influencers actually use the word Israel or Palestine blatantly. They don't mind using the word, yeah. But some of them use G to stand for Gaza or P to stand for Palestine. So Dexter in our data is one of those people who use what we call as coded language. Coded language. So here, these are all from Dexter. Dexter used the phrase "is not real" to refer to Palestine, as to refer to Israel. Yeah. So this phrase is also identified as a marked code choice with the social motivation of avoiding algorithm selection for humor and also mockery. Yeah? So in this sense, the use of coded language for Israel, we argue, has at least two functions. One, to avoid auto-detection by social media providers and avoid banning or social account suspension. And number two, to create a sense of wordplay that Israel is not a real country. So that's pretty smart. Yeah? It's a clever wordplay that is also very political at the same time. Okay, this is another example of linguistic resilience. Again, the word tembikai here is being used to replace Palestine as a country. So when people want to refer to Palestine, they use tembikai or watermelon, or even the emoji tembikai or watermelon, the emoji watermelon, to refer to Palestine. Why? Because again, the shadow banning, account suspension. Yeah. So watermelon is used until now as a symbol of struggle and national identity, to refer to show solidarity with the Palestinian. So another point is about the use of Israel, the use of Tembika in the context of data is what we can refer to as the concept or label as algo speak. Algo speak. According to Steen and colleagues 2023, now TikTok creators use algo speak through in their TikTok caption, in the hashtag of the video, through their verbal commentary. It's a form of NetSpeak. So AlgoSpeak is a form of NetSpeak. It uses abbreviation. It replaces specific word. It uses misspelling sometimes to avoid account suspension and shadow banning. Okay, so sometimes this AlgoSpeak is very exclusive to those who are familiar with the context. So sometimes some of you who are maybe for those of you who never or who rarely watch social media, TikTok videos about Palestine and Gaza, try to jump in and try to see those videos right now, like today, and see whether you can understand them. Sometimes the complexity of the algo speak doesn't allow outsider to understand it. The use of G, the use of P, the use of certain word are just too much, to the point that only certain people, those who have been following it, will be able to understand. So that's algo speak and coded language. Now, social motivation to code switching in the linguistic resilience team. Now, for this particular theme in linguistic resilience, we do find that when activists use this code switching in this team, they are actually navigating their identities as both Malaysian and digital activists concerned about global issues. So by using commonly used words by global activists, the engagement on social media could be increased. Now, when they use hashtag watermelon, yeah, so the engagement will be increased. At the same time, when they use Malay, they also engage closely with their target audience. They get that awareness, they can mobilize public support. So example can be seen here on my slide. The original transcript says, I am shocked, I am outraged. Again, our international participant, you can read the English translation. I'm just going to create this dramatic effect by reading the Malay version, or the original version. I am shocked, I am outraged. I terkejut sangat-sangat sebab selama ini Leila tak tahu pun yang Mark and Spencer ada Zionist history. So this particular example is really packed with code switching and embedded social motivation to those code switch. Yeah. There are two parts of the code switch happening here what can be considered as a mark code choice. The first consists of the first few sentences where she shared her feeling 3 times. The first 2 in English and the last one in Malay. Why the need to say it so much in different languages? Emphasis, probably the motivation is for emphasizing her emotion. Number 2, to negotiate her identity as both Malaysian and global citizen. So that the local audience can also engage. Terkejut sangat-sangat, right? Terkejut sangat is like, oh, too much macam tu. So she is embracing both her identity. And the second part, in the light of the issue, Mark and Spencer and Zionist history, the choice of the word Zionist there, rather than the word Israel or is not real, function as a form of identity marking. So she is identifying herself as signaling herself as one who opposes Israel and Zionists. So the choice of word there is really important. Okay, we're almost done. Conclusion. Alhamdulillah. Wait, I got lost here. Okay. So concluding things up, wrapping things up a bit. So basically, when people who are looking into examining contemporary digitalism, how activists in the digital era is talking or performing, right? Maybe one of the things that might be a sideline motivation or sideline objective would be to compare a comparison of traditional and contemporary era. So basically, we can see that for the traditional and contemporary activists, the language and content used are, while not fully different, they are arguably different, slightly or to a certain extent, they are different. Why? The repertoire for digital activists, the repertoire of the language and expression is limited due to the constant monitoring, surveillance, and yet they can mobilize support because social media goes widely all over the world, right? This can be seen from the number of likes, the number of followers. So even though they're utilizing indirect language, complex persuasive strategies, their followers are usually accustomed to the nature and the language of the digital sphere. The net speak, the coded language, they're probably accustomed to that. So this new breed of followers, followers of these activists, has become more sensitive to the language, subtle language nuances hinted by the digital activists. So lastly, this may be the limitation of our study. We just focus on verbal discourse, verbal text. So future researchers might want to look at multimodality, both maybe the sound, the visual, the body language and gestures and facial expression. That might be useful too, so that we can get a holistic picture. I think that's it. Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much. I'm gonna stop sharing now.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Habibah. Um, wow. Throughout the presentation, I was curious. I am curious a lot with a lot of things that you were sharing, and of course, that was a very insightful session from you, especially when it comes to, when this influencer actually, uh, they are being strategic with the code switching. We can we can see that they are being strategic, especially when this shadow ban tactics from TikTok. The use of code switching between English and Malay actually make the social media content moderator, they have content moderator in each country, make them difficult to to detect a certain word. For example, if we simply use the word Palestine, Gaza, uh, it will not take long for you to get banned, probably immediately, because of the algorithm work that way, just works that way lah. So this strategic efforts from this influencer keep promoting this BDS movement, uh, makes the content moderator having field day in filtering, in detecting. They have to scroll many videos. They have to check whether the video is condescending to them, and condescending to a certain culture. I mean, to them it's a condescending, but it's a positive movement. Yeah, that's a very insightful session from Dr. Habibah. So I think let's start with the Q&A session lah with our speaker. So participants, you are welcome to ask question about Dr. Habibah's presentation just now, or perhaps give comments, feedback. You can choose to turn on your microphone, or you can also write your question in the chat. Maybe you're a little bit, shy and everything. You can just type it down, and I can read it. I can read the question for you. Okay. Okay, probably from me, I have one question. Okay, I'm actually curious about the usage of UAM corpus tool. Actually, I've heard about the UAM corpus tool numerous times, but I never thought it can integrate a framework with the corpus. Uh, how's the experience of using the UAM corpus tool, Doctor? Is it difficult to integrate the discourse framework or any kind of framework that we would like to use in the tools?
Actually, for me, lah, because I've been using it since my doctoral degree days. uh, I think it's really user friendly, and there are many frameworks in there that you can use. You can just everyone, if you are interested, you can just try to download it and see. Maybe watch a YouTube video might help a bit. But basically, there are many systems that you can use. Evaluation is there. I'm not sure about social smarty. I don't think so. Social smarty is UAM image tool. You can use that. There are two tools: UAM corpus tool and UAM image tool. Then UAM Corpus tool also allows you to create your own framework. So for while the attitudinal stance or appraisal system is embedded there in UAM Corpus tool, we actually created a framework, code switching, mice cotton code switching categories. The categories of marked choice, right? Marked choice category by mice cotton. That one we created from scratch and embedded it in UM Corpus. So it's not really very easy. For you, Amizan, who are familiar, so good at Python, this is a piece of cake. You should try.
Uh,
Okay.
okay, Doctor, because recently I've been involved with this one particular grant. We
Mm.
were also applying this meta discourse markers
Methodist course, yeah.
from I don't know who's the
Highland, no? Highland, kan?
yeah,
Terus,
yeah, Highland. Yeah, so I was using Python to integrate the framework
mm,
in the Python, and then we just we did a similar approach with you lah. We count the frequencies and we get
mm,
the distance and everything. Okay, so I will try to use UAM because I think it's safe work. We don't have to do any sort of technical
mm.
programming. Okay, all right. So one question from Mr.
Sorry,
Yadi.
Amizan, can I just interrupt a bit because my question coincides with yours. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
tell
All
me
right.
about the UAM tool. I'm wondering, is it similar to like Atlas TI and
Mm.
also NVivo? Is it
Yeah,
about coding?
yeah. It's more or less actually. At least I, especially I think people who use coding, they study on the category first, and then they go on and categorize it using
Mm,
the
yeah.
coding and the system software aided them with that. So it's more or less the same. However, for UAM Corpus tool, once you do the tagging, you can also run the collocation analysis. You can run the concordances. So that is kind of two in
Mm,
one kind of thing. So
mm,
sometimes, well, I use both. Sometimes I use whenever I want to use concordances, I use Langspot, right? But sometimes I even use UAM to run concordances. So I see whether there's any interesting elements in the collocation analysis within UAM itself.
okay, so same concept lah.
Yes.
Okay, okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, you can continue with the with Edith's question.
Okay, yeah. So Doctor, I think yeah, you can agree that many are curious about the usage of UM, so that probably in future we can
Yeah.
do something about it.
Something
Okay,
like that.
yeah, okay. So one question from Mr. Yadid. So the question is there any changing of attitude towards any of the corpora when you are collecting and analyzing the data since October 2023 up until now?
Okay. Very good question, Yadin. Because the point of time where we collected it is like more than 6 or 9 months ago. After the global smooth flotilla happened, right? We didn't see any changes in the data because that's just the data, the 30 inferences, right? But moving on to this year, end of this year, 2025, we notice a lot of happening, a lot of again linguistic resilience happening in the data, real life, online, social media happening, trending. One of it that is very, I think many of you are also familiar with is the use of dot. I'm so infatuated. I'm so when people from Gaza or Palestinian they want to increase the engagement, they will say something like, "Can you please leave a dot?" Right? So that's engagement happening, that boosting happening. So that's also, I believe that's a bit of activism happening there, that people are riling up to help. Yeah. So leaving a dot or talking about what's the color of the sky today, what kind of the color of your pen, the now the how much battery are left on your phone. Very random question. That is another very interesting pattern that I see, and actually that's another phase of my future research with my team lah. Inshallah, in the future, want to examine what happened after the GSF movement kind of blows up the internet. What something else happened in the social media? Another kind of language innovation and strategy took up the internet for me. Thanks.
Okay, so that's it's one other future directions when it comes to these discourses around this BDS movement. We can also look at the comment section, right? So yeah, so the next phase will be looking at the comment section. What's the discourses around this assertive movement in the activities in the comment section. Okay, all right. So once
Um,
again, okay, yeah. Do you
Excuse
have
me,
any
I
questions?
just have a question. Yes, my name is
Yes.
Lakrit,
Sure.
Dr. Habiba.
Okay.
Thank you for the presentation, amazing topic about Palestine. I am very passionate about the topic. I just wanted to mention a point. You mentioned that the narrative has been always the same regarding the story or history of Palestinian until recently or 2 years ago. Something shifted where people pay more attention, and there has been strikes and demonstration all over the world. Can you speak to probably the role of social media or TikTok in revolutionizing the ideas and the language, even by legacy media, how they depict Palestine now, where we see a huge shift by renowned professors and journalists, how they used to be pro-Israel, and now that they are under heat and attacked by their own, followers, that they became pro-Palestinian. Sorry, it's a long question, but basically, do you see that social media has shifted the narrative 100% or 300%?
Thank you for the question. Actually, personally, I've been following this issue, the happening on social media, of course, for particularly after the research. Yes, I do agree that something has definitely shifted after 2003 was pretty slow, but moving on to 2024 towards the end, and then 2025, then we have the global summit flotilla happening. That kind of changes a lot of things on the social media. The narrative again, if you remember me talking about narrative earlier, the narrative changed because what happened? Legacy media, traditional media especially, are under pressure. Their lifeline right now is no longer on printed newspaper, printed media. Their lifeline now is on the digital world. If they get more followers, that means more advertisement revenue. Now, more advertisement revenue is only possible if their followers are enough, if they have people who like them. Now, because of the movement by activists, these activists not only tell them about how to boycott products, they also tell them how to cancel people, cancel company. So people will be people will be given instruction on how, oh, you can cancel this by leaving Disney, you can cancel this by leaving, unsubscribe to Netflix. So these are all pressure that some of these big companies couldn't withstand. And of course, now we can see the result. The narrative shifted. It's because of the activism or push on the social media, mostly because, again, companies right now, their lifeline is on social media. It's no longer physical. Most of them are on social media. So whether or not they can continue their business depends on whether or not the netizen online likes them. And the netizen right now is very, really, really knowledgeable on how to make sure they have their interests, protected. So yeah, now, I'm looking at it from the perspective of a linguist, yeah, not as an activist. From the perspective of a linguist, there's so much that can be done and should be done by language people like us. Yeah. One is, of course, looking at how people are trying to create this, mobilize other people. Second is looking at the narrative of how Israel is trying so hard to change the narrative. I think in last couple of weeks I see Israeli. I'm not sure whether that is a true story or is an AI generated, but I see some posts by Israeli talking in different languages using Google Translate to share their feelings on social media using Google Translate, and because they want to speak in the language of the local people outside. For example, in Malaysia, I saw one from talking to Malaysian, especially the person or the AI, I don't know who, what, professed that she was an IDF soldier, but she was talking in Malay. So these are all shifts. This is the clash of narrative, and people are trying to change the narrative the way they see fit. And so there's so much we can do as a linguist. That's my opinion, a personal opinion. Thank you.
Very welcome. Just as a follow-up to that question, so can we simply conclude from a linguistic point of view? In the past, it was used to be legacy media which shapes the language and the probably political views of the populace, but now it is social media that shapes and pushes legacy media to ban and change language and also adopt some views that probably they're against their own, but they have to due to the pressure from social media such as TikTok.
Yeah. I believe that is the case now. I believe that's the case. That's the push on the traditional media, legacy media, that's happening right now because many of the netizens are aware of how they can put pressure on them. Definitely.
Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate your response.
Okay, Doctor, when you mentioned the clash of narrative, I actually have came across this various posting that you were talking about, like the IDF soldier turn their support to Palestine. I think there should be a future direction of this narrative. Some linguistic people like us can look into the truthfulness of this posting, like how legit of this narrative.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for my point of view, it can be a two futures lah. Like you can look at the translation point of study, and you can look into forensic linguistic to prove whether this posting, this narrative that they are trying to promote is legit. It can be a new studies for me and to everybody else here. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So once again, thank you, Dr. Habibah, for the insightful presentation. We look forward to your next phase of this research.